Thank you, Las Cathaoirleach, and welcome to the House, Minister, for this very important debate, in that it's our recognition of our maturity within the EU and our celebration of its success, and of course a level of reflection on the future. So it's a worthwhile exercise in that regard. I suppose the sad backdrop to the debate today is that we have war in Europe, and that's a tragedy. It's outside the control of the EU, but it is a tragedy. It's one in which we have to be, as we are, but we must remain responsive to the displaced persons. We must remain supportive of the reconstruction of the Ukraine later, and indeed of Ukraine, and then indeed we must respond to the economic impact of it, and of course must be uncompromising in our sanctions and in our condemnation of that war. And it is an unfortunate backdrop to what has been the greatest peace project in the history of the world, the EU. It's also an unfortunate backdrop to this debate that we have the Brexit question still looming. I think the point well made by my colleague Senator Chambers about European solidarity with us on that is very well made, and it is a tribute to our diplomatic service, it's a tribute to our government, and it's a tribute to all of us in our own individual ways who have managed to secure the solidarity of Europe with us on the Brexit question. And that needs to hold up. It's a pity we still have the protocol issue. I suppose our urging, all I'd be saying to you, Minister, on this auspicious occasion, is that we have to hold the line on the international agreement dimension, but we should exercise every imaginable flexibility to get the protocol working and to get the Assembly in Northern Ireland working also, as a consequence. So I think I'm pushing an open door on that, but I'd like your response at the end, Minister. You might reference where we stand on the protocol. The EU, I'm in an extraordinarily strong position to speak of this, in that I'm prepared to admit this publicly, it might be apparent anyway. I had my early years of my childhood, my very early years of life, in a pre-EU Ireland, and I had then all of my adult life in a post-EU Ireland. So I'm in a very good position to speak about this, and it has been transformative for Ireland, unquestionably. To paraphrase the Minister there, it's totally transformative. The social reform that's arisen from the EU, women's rights have been advanced beyond recognition. We're talking of almost two different planets, two different times. Women, the whole idea of equality, of gender equality, of equal pay for equal work, of the right to equal work, of the right to quality employment, of all of the barbaric, historic strangulations, if you like, for want of a better term, of women in terms of whole bizarre things like jury service, all sorts of bizarre, antiquated legislation. All of that went the wayside. Women's rights were propelled in this country by virtue of the EU. That in itself is enormous and would alone justify our continued 88% loyalty to the EU. It's been transformative in terms of infrastructure around this country, on our roadways, our canals, so many buildings, and the peace projects around this country. The money for the peace process, the money for rural development. So many developments funded by the EU if you drive around Ireland today. And they've enhanced our country greatly. Funding for so many through so many bodies, funding coming down from the EU there. I know now that we've become a net contributor, but we're now a net contributor by virtue of the success of the funding exercises earlier. What's been extraordinarily transformative for the area from which I come, in County Cavan, has been the Common Agricultural Policy. It has got farmers support, but it's got them a proper price for their project. There's work to be done there. There always is yet. But it has created a world market, a European 500 million people market for our produce, but it has also got decent pricing, it has got support and regulation. And so, if you like, the social policies, the rural development policies, the social cohesion exercises, the common agricultural policy are enormous. As a consequence of our economic success from Europe, we're now the technology capital of the world, with companies like Google and Facebook with headquarters here. It's extraordinary where we arrived. The Minister referenced Erasmus. That's a hugely important thing. And I have the privilege occasionally of meeting people on Erasmus, not in a formal setting, but informally when I go to Council of Europe events. I meet them informally in Strasbourg. And it's just wonderful to see how they enjoyed that. And it's the European values are permeating our country, and that's important. Now, it's important too, we're a wonderful catalyst or agent for the rule of law, democracy and the rights of human beings, because we insist on those in accession treaties for new countries. But I'd be saying to the Minister, and I have to finish, this is a subject we could talk. I wanted just very briefly to say to the Minister, I'd like you to speak about the accession of Ukraine and Georgia, which I think should be accelerated in every way possible. I also just lastly want to say, you might reference that military question and the fact that there is no military obligation on Ireland, but I think also it would be the wishes of the people that there wouldn't be. So could I finish on that and say that this is a wonderful day, that we're celebrating something that has changed the lives of people, and I know it from both sides. Thank you.